Now, I am going to have to kick the YouTubers off. There are things I want to say that are not long for this world, but only on YouTube. So it is kick.com/man at the internet, rumble.com/c/man at the internet/live. It's also on Telegram and VK if you want to look for that. Now to close shop on the YouTubers, I am going to read a fascinating note here from our dear friend who now lives only in our loving memory, the Gaytor Gamer. As I mentioned, the Gator Gamer has retired. The Gaytor Gamer is no more, and he left behind a note explaining his decision to retire the Gaytor Gamer. And now I believe he is simply going by Brian, which is his real name. I guess he wants to do a Josh thing and just be the most famous Brian of all time. So now he'll continue to do the Anime Boomers podcast, but only as Brian. So even my anime aardvark meme was insufficient to cover his true intentions. Okay, here he goes. He says, "Hello everyone, it's me, Brian," which is a reference, of course, to the only funny thing that Gator ever did, which he didn't actually do. That was all Dame Pesos. Better known to many of you as Gaytor, the persona behind the account, brand, or whatever you call it at this point. I'm taking a moment to share why I've decided to step away from the Gaytor character and, in a sense, retire from playing that version of myself. Over the past few years, and especially in the last 6 months, I've done a lot of soul searching and experienced significant personal growth. I focus on my mental and physical health, which has given me a clearer perspective of who I am now compared to who I used to be. The truth is, the gap between Gaytor and the real me has grown so wide that I no longer recognize him as a part of me. When I try to embody the old Gaytor, I see someone smug, condescending, and out of touch with both reality and who I am today. It is so jarring that I can barely watch old podcast recordings without feeling embarrassed by the things I said without a second thought. Yeah, that's a common experience, Brian. Since 2014, I've been Gaytor online, and during that time, I've made mistakes by engaging with people and in ways I should not have. I was a part of a show with someone I enjoyed working with for many years, but things fell apart. No one is solely to blame for that, and I owe an apology to everyone from that era. I was stubborn, arrogant, and instead of moving on cleanly, I leaned into the drama that followed, milking it rather than building something new on my own terms. Eventually, I did move on, creating anime boomers with new guests and friends. For a while, that felt like enough to make me happy, but I've come to realize that holding on to Gaytor, even in this new context, has kept me tethered to a version of myself I no longer relate to. My reluctance to fully let go has also affected those around me, and I need to take responsibility for that. Unfortunately, I believe this references Spooky Weeb Trash, who also drank Everclear until her body was no longer able to consume any more Everclear. I'll be honest about my flaws. I've always craved recognition, a natural desire for acceptance that I wish I could channel into more meaningful connections, which is true. The main thing that Gator has going for, but even now, I'll give my take in a second, but that's like the most true thing he said. Talking to people, I wish I could channel into more meaningful connections, like talking to people about what books they love, the movies they watch, or the music that moves them. I've also faced personal challenges, some beyond my control, that have shaped how I've behaved. Thanks to the support, he's like 38, by the way. Thanks to the support of my friends and others I've confided in, I've gained better control over those struggles and am committed to continuing that growth. Moving forward, I want to focus on being a better version of myself for my own sake and for those around me. I want to find happiness and share it with others while always owning up to my mistakes. While Gaytor as a character may be gone, I'm still here, working to make things right for those who've known me as a friend, a fellow traveler, or even a foe. I hope you can accept me. And this is his olive branch, by the way. I interpreted this as an olive branch. I hope you can accept me for who I've been, who I am now, and who I'm striving to become. This statement comes not out of an lowercase I, come on now, lowercase I, which one? Internet persona, but from me, Brian, a real person trying to do better. Thank you for taking the time to read this. I hope you can accept my words with the sincerity they are intended to convey. So, here's the issue with this, Brian. One of the last streams you did before deciding to retire the Gaytor game more, he gloated gleefully that my zeets about anime lolicon, and in particular Gura Garwa's new character Saba, was really, really funny. And certain people, me, should learn to stop messing with the animes because I'm taking away their happy place by talking about their lolicon streamers. And if I do that, I should expect certain things about me to be dug up. And what this means is that when I made fun of the anime lolicons, hundreds of people from 4chan read 15-year-old Blockland posts and dug up shit that has already been out for 10 years. And they gleefully repost this in every single thread about the Ofcom lawsuit because they really, really, really desperately need people to not like me. Here's the thing, Brian. You don't get to decide what people think about you, and you don't get to control your reputation by simply retiring personas. People give me shit for things I wrote as IBAN or City RPG or IBAN X or IBAN X Corp or whatever the fuck I was going by, right? Nobody gives a shit. It says like, oh, that's not fair. I know I'm still streaming to YouTube, dude. The hamster is up. I'm getting a panic call. I'm still streaming to YouTube. I know the hamster is still up. I'm reading this to give people time to move over to kick.com. You fucking ruined my flow, man. Anyways, you don't get to control what people think about you or say about you. And you can change your name. People are still going to give you shit forever and ever. What makes people think differently about you, if you're lucky, if you're really, really, really lucky, is actions. And I don't see anything different about Brian today than the Gaytor game war from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, before he left for Ralph. It's still the same shit. Still into anime, still talk shit about people. You know what I mean? You're like the exact same guy. I don't know what dramatic change I'm supposed to be like, oh, he really has learned from his ways. The only thing I'll give this credit for is that it's very non-confrontational. And it's both, he gives the olive branch to Ralph by saying, look, it's both of our faults we couldn't proceed together in our podcasting endeavors. And then he's like, by the way, I hope you can, by the way, ignore everything that I did. You know, for instance, by calling you a pedophile for several years, that kind of stuff. But as I said, you don't get to decide what people think about you. The thing is, I think Brian is safe in his endeavors because he's Gator. Nobody cares. I think maybe in a year from now, Brian will go extra super hard because people are going to forget about him now. We talked about his retirement and stuff. Now he'll go back to doing shit for 3 years without anybody noticing. At some point, he's going to do something to piss off the anime people, and it will be really funny.